Hi, my name is John Galuli, and I'm walking here with Kat. Hi, Kat. And we're going to do, on this one particular video, we're just going to do what we might call the dog triangle quadrant, which is the dog run and the areas around it. So here are, going into the entranceway, we do have some lavender that seems to be doing well. With very little water. But then, as you can see, we have these garden beds that are completely dry. They have exposed water emitters, plants that used to be here. These guys here, they look like they're partially alive, but when you go down to the roots and you put your finger in there and you go down a few inches, it's nothing but rock. So these guys are what you might call hardy survivors, hangers in there. But then you've got plants like this. Well, they're not going to make it, are they? They're dead. But right next to them, things like this. So it's a mystery. This particular walkway seems to be getting water, or paying attention to the droopy leaves. Maybe it's just because they're in the shade of this building. We're unsure. We don't know. So now we're going to walk in to the dog run area, and you'll see a difference kind of right away. Like this used to be on the ground here, used to be plants. They're gone. And these are our rushes, or our bulrushes. And as you can see, they're really tall and dry. This tree is dead, or not dead, but dying. This one is dead over here. These are the normal grasses that we have that are usually cut and trimmed. The gardener's not done that. They're very brown and dry. If you look closely, they're like straw. So there is no water coming to this particular area, and it's really visible. Look how large these bushes are, and they're just no water. They're like straw sitting in the ground. This is some kind of native California plant. Seems to be doing okay. Now we're going to go to the other side of the dog run, and down here we have yarrow plants that are dead or dying. Very brown dirt, and again the same kinds of tall grasses with no water. A maple tree dying from lack of water. Also still held in the ground with stakes that should have been removed a long time ago. These stakes restrain the tree, pull it down into the ground, and they affect the roots when it wants to grow. Okay, more grasses with no water. And we're walking around the edge here. Over here, another area. Kind of unkempt, untrimmed gardening everywhere. Now these are manzanitas. And I know they look green, but manzanitas will grow with practically no water. It's a unique quality of the plant. But here again are our grasses, dry, very little water at the root. Over here they look better, either from being in the shade, or maybe the homeowners are watering them. And then now back down on this walkway, the same kind of thing. There's a good example of one. And I'm going to walk over to where the controller is, so it's possible to see how the water system here is working. Now this is solar, so these definitely shouldn't be here, because this is a piece of glass and it powers the lights. Okay. Here's some more over here. That's a big green weed there. And you can see that these plants are very stressed from lack of water. However, this pistache tree with very deep roots looks like it's doing okay. So it's a mixed bag. And by the way, this is a pistache tree that's got its sticks on it. It's being held in the ground. It still has a nursery stick on it. You know, it should have been taken away a couple of years ago. Here's more examples of some dry plants next to a homeowner's lawn or our backyard. And then here are the water controllers. So here we have the water controllers for this area. They're wired, they have the diodes, everything is set, but they're not on. Some of these that do the turf or the water areas, they will have a battery timer in them, and that timer turns this on and off switch so that water goes to the garden beds. But this has no activation because it has no battery timer, and this 2-wire system that it has here, it's not hooked up to a central control system. So there's no water coming to these dry plants either by battery timer, and I'll show in another video what it looks like, or electrical, which is here. So this is a system that's ready to go, and these controllers here, this one and this one, are in charge of the garden beds that we just did a video of that are bone dry. And this is what happens to plants when they don't get water. We have examples of these that I'll show you later in the video of plants that are getting water and they look great, but these are not. Here again is another example. Dead or dying plants from lack of water, here and here. Now this is a good example of many of the kind of, these are called Santa Barbara daisies, and where this dirt area is, this open dirt, there used to be Santa Barbara daisies here, and now here they are here. The flowers are dead. They're going to be trimmed off soon so that they're down to the ground, but you can see what they look like. And then also large dirt areas here that haven't been mulched in years and walked off. The dirt under this it's as hard as rock. But strangely, like you see the manzanita plants, manzanita trees, just like you'll find in the hills in California, really green, look nice. But the plants underneath the flowers are brown, dead and dying, and the earth is rock hard. Here's another example of the planter beds. As you can see, they're a mess. The color is red. But next to them, here is a Rose of Sharon, and it looks pretty good. So this is the strange stuff. We've got some plants that are dying, and then we have a lovely plant like that that looks okay. Maybe the owner is watering it. Now this used to be the lawn for the sales office. These are the garden beds. You can see they're full of weeds. They've not been weeded. There is water here, however, but it's water from the sprinklers that floods this field. There's all kinds of different grass growing in here. There's bare areas. This particular field was killed last summer when the water was turned off, and so it was completely brown like straw, but then the water was turned on, and so it's being watered, but it's mostly weeds. and clover. And this used to be cut, such as it is, once a week. Now it's just twice a week. And the afternoon sunlight makes it look a little better than it normally is. Located on this courtyard is a bush that's half the way up the side of the building. Hasn't ever been trimmed as far as I can see. And I don't know if you can actually see it in this video, but this lawn is mostly just weeds. Clover, unkempt. Here's more of the small garden beds that are starting to go. All along here, they're brown. This is what they look like in close-up. Here's another Rose of Sharon that looks great. Here's another kind of garden bed. You know, this once used to have flowers in it. Now they're just sporadic. Here's some dead grasses. Some of them are okay, but the general feeling with these parkways, and here's a water line sticking out, is where's the vegetation? I mean, where are the plants supposed to be? We had a gardening service come by today to give us a calculation, and they figured that something like 60 to 70% of the plants that were planted here are gone. Now here is a section of Village Station that's actually getting water. And I'll show you the battery timer and the controller for this area. Here's the Santa Barbara daisies, doing what daisies do, which is having bright, colorful centers. You notice that this bush is an image of the one I showed before that was dying. And you can see on the ground that there's moisture here. Not much, mulch cover, but enough water to create lovely flowers, which is what this ground cover is supposed to be all about. So where there's water, there's lovely growth. This is another view of a watered garden area. Looking pretty good. And of course over here as well. So here we are in what's called the bocce ball courts. And as you can see, the plants along this fence, they look pretty good, pretty full. And this is the area also along here. Here's some more Rose of Sharon. And then here's the garden beds that I just showed on this video. I'm walking in that direction. You can see everything's white and green, flowery, pretty cool. And over here. And then, of course, you can see the yarrow down there at the end. Bright, standing tall. It's a little hard because of the shadows, but this is all being watered. So where's the water coming from? So we'll walk back down here, and here's the controller for this area. I'm going to get down on my hands and knees. And what makes this one different is it has what's called, right here, I'll back out a little bit, a battery timer. And this timer, which is set by the gardener, turns the water on at a certain time, turns it off at a certain time. And you notice that this is hooked up. I'm going to go from here. This is hooked up to the solenoid right there. See? That turns the water on and off for the area that I just showed you that has water. Now, this particular battery timer, called a Hunter. It's attached to this particular watering station. So I put the lid on that one, and now we're going to go to the one next to it that's in charge of the vegetation along this fence. It looks really good. And as you'll see, there is another battery controller that tells this solenoid when to go on, when to go off, and to emit water to the system. Now, turning this can be done independently right here. These are the wires that are normally hooked up to the central irrigation system, but that has never, at least it's not hooked up here now. And in the north part of the property, it appears that it's never been done. So, incompleted, I guess is the best way to put it. When it's normally done, this, I don't see it here. There's small conductor boxes that send a signal to the timing system. But anyway, there's the battery. As you can see, I'm going to pull in on it. Hooked up to the solenoid right there that turns the water on and off for an area that's actually getting water. Now we're going to leave this kind of lush green area with the daisies that look pretty good, flowers that are nice, plants that are healthy, and we're going to go to a part, actually the most recent part of the property that was irrigated over here across the street in the distance. Yeah. So this is in the southernmost part of the property. And what you're seeing is here the exact same plants, dead and dying from no water. These grasses here, they were planted just a couple of years ago, as I recall, and they're very hardy. But these guys here, because there's zero water coming to them, are not doing as well. As you can see, they're brown and just nothing. These grasses here were newly planted right in here, and I'm going to take my finger and dig down underneath, and I don't feel a drop of moisture 5 inches down. There's nothing. So these are not getting water. This is very green because it's a manzanita. It's one of the remarkable features of this plant. Here's another dead plant in the middle of this field I'm standing. Here's some more dead yarrow. The grass is here. This is what this particular grass, this is what it looks like when it's actually getting watered. It's green all the way down the stalk. You don't have to kind of go look for it. It's there. So these plants here are getting water, and that's what a healthy one, watered one, looks like. This is what plants look like that don't get water. So I'm unclear a little bit how all this is working, but I'm going to go to the controller station for this area and see if there's a battery timer in it. So here's this particular field, and now we're going to go into the case to see if there's a battery timer in here, and there is none. So without something to turn this solenoid on, what we see here is not going to be getting any water. This is a good view of the end of this parkway. about half of it with plants. The ones at the end, no water. This is pictures of the same Santa Barbara daisies. The light's a little hard to see, it's the end of day. But as you can see, they're all brown and red. And at close up, they look a little bit like that. Here's another parkway with dead yarrow plants on the side of it. Some manzanita looking good right there and there. Some grasses that are still hanging in there. So it's touch and go. Somewhere there's sometimes there's water, sometimes there isn't. We don't know why. The shape of these grasses, they look a little better. I don't detect any water underneath them, but I think the shade of these buildings here are probably helping them during the heat of the day to keep the direct sun down. There's another parkway at the end. Not much there, just dead ground. There's some manzanita, looking good. Here's some more garden beds, dry. And then this whole area here, a sweep of this area, it just looks terrible. The ground bare, lines exposed. You can see where plants are supposed to be planted next to these tall grasses. All right. No. Straight out of. We're at the south end of the property, and here is one tree. And then another that's dying for lack of water. Let's check the controller box down at the bottom. No battery controller here. Nothing on the solenoid here to turn it on or off. Thanks, Kat. And nothing there to turn that on or off. So, and that's under trees that are dying. So no water equals what you see in front of you.